That's going to be the Rams' offensive line, bro. Straight brick house. All right, though. Preseason's here. Again, real football's here tonight yet, so you guys can still probably see the Rams are the best team of all time. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how many points they can put up. Might break a record here. We'll have to see though. How good are they actually? Let's get into it. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe. Hope y'all are ready for the Los Angeles Rams 2026 roster grades. This is my favorite team, if you didn't already know. I have liked them for over 10 years, so anyone who's saying, hey, he's a bandwagon, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're casual. We'll get into casuals in a second, but that's what's going on. I'm recording this as of, I don't know, crazy preseason Thursday. I haven't watched any film of any of these games. I've seen some highlight clips, but I haven't actually watched any of the tape from any of these games. So I will be a CBSE when we go react to some of these scores in a second. So just get ready for that. I'm a casual here too today. But anyways, we'll go through the Rams roster. I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is probably the easiest roster I have to grade the entire league. It's for one reason only. This is the roster that I by far study the or not. I wouldn't say study the most. I know through and through the best. That doesn't mean I watch as much tape as other teams. Kind of get away with it, but this is the team that I obviously this is my team. So again, keep that in mind with this. There's gonna be a lot of opinions on it, but I don't think anyone's gonna bat an eye if they're the number one roster in football. I'm sorry, guys, they're just too good. But anyways, we'll get to them in a second. But again, we'll talk about Matt Stafford. We already know what's up there. But for the preseason game scores. Cardinals, they beat the. I don't know why. Yeah, they were. I guess they were 0-1. This game was cool from what I heard. The only highlight I saw was that Jeremiah Love run. Corey Kiner might get on the roster. He had a really nice run too. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'll definitely look more through this when I actually watch the tape from this game. But yeah, hey, they put their starters in. Brisket even played after that contract. For the Raiders, Mendoza threw his first touchdown. Kirk Cousins had a really good first drive. Yeah, there's not really much else to say here. But that game was exciting, I guess. What are we doing? All right, there we go. Chargers game, I'm not going to lie. I de-gaff about this. I mean, Trey Lance, he's, again, obviously the Week 18 starting quarterback every single year, so keep that in mind. Davis Mills, I guess, didn't play awesome. Not bad either. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Why are you so glitched? But, anyways, Colts, Patriots, this is pathetic. Big Tony played. That's cool. We haven't seen him play in a while. Patriots, Tommy Cutlets played. I guess he's their backup. Cool there. I guess. What are we doing? Come on. I don't want this game. Why are we so geeked? No, now I get it. All right, Packers game. This game was an absolute blowout from what I remember. For the Steelers, Drew Aller threw an absolute bomb. Yeah, 74-yard to that dude. He looked nasty. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. Really good. So that's good. I watched enough. I watched tape, though, so that's cool. But he looked like he was just airing the ball out. Then again, for the Packers, I don't think Bo Melton was he played some corner. I don't know why he isn't on here. He got at least one snap on special teams. But anyways, that was kind of funny. But they obviously didn't really play anyone good, as you might expect them to. That game was bad, but while it wasn't close, it was definitely the most exciting. What are we doing? Why are we geeked? Okay, yeah. This loads. That's the new method. I don't know what's up with this, but it's geeked. Okay, I think we got it. And then the last game was this one. I didn't watch any of this. I think Joe Burrow threw a nice pass. I don't know. Joe Flacco, they only threw 4 quarterbacks in there. They were doing their thing. I think quarterback per quarter. This is a Rams thing to do during preseason, so yeah, keep that in mind. Luke Altmaier was absolutely dog water from what I heard. I haven't seen enough of him though, and yeah, we are using dog water in 2026. Defensively, I guess Assassin had 2 sacks and a pick. Or not a pick, a forced fumble. He's looking to make the roster. I got a lot of tape to watch. I'll tell you that right now. It's very weird just looking at scores and not knowing what happened, at all. It's one thing to watch the highlights, I guess, but to actually watch the full tape, it's kind of weird. But anyways, that's just my exposure to this. Titans game hasn't ended yet. I don't really care about that one. For the Rams, though, in terms of preseason, obviously Stetson Bennett and Ty Simpson will be duking it out for the backup quarterback job. Matthew Caldwell, I'm not going to lie, guys, I have never heard of this dude. I'm being completely honest. Never heard of this guy. It's cool they brought him to camp, but I've never heard of this guy. I'm being completely honest. I don't think I watched a single snap of 2024 Troy football, which is my fault, I guess. But Troy really hasn't had that many good prospects over the past couple of years, to be honest with you, too. So, yeah, but I legitimately did not watch him play last year. Like, I watched some art. I've watched a lot of art tape, but I did not watch any of him. So, I mean, I guess he's just there. Ty Simpson, again, if you want my opinion on that draft pick, I think it was perfect for the future. If for whatever reason the Rams don't win the Super Bowl this year, and I don't know, Matthew Stafford decides, I'm done, maybe because he dies or something, I don't know. I think Ty Simpson, is he going to be ready next year? I don't completely know, but in my opinion, he has one of the higher level, just innate processing abilities out of any quarterback I've seen coming out of the draft in a while. He shreds through his reads, and that is something that is so hard to find in a quarterback, again, that you don't need to develop that with. Obviously, under pressure, his internal clock isn't amazing, but when it just comes out to reading out the field and making these anticipated throws, he is right up there with anyone in terms of prospects. Obviously, physically, he's not really that special, but he does have more mobility than Stafford. Keep that in mind. But Ty Simpson, that is his top trait, and it's something that, again, it's an elite trait, and that's why he was picked 13th overall. Realistically, though, he still has a lot of work to do in terms of accuracy. I don't want to see him in the field this year, as y'all know. Stetson Bennett, he should be their backup quarterback. He has been been on this team for a while. Obviously, he's only played in preseason. Again, obviously, the alcohol issue after that 2022 year at Georgia, I don't want to get into that too much because, again, that's his private, what is it called? That's just his private information and stuff. But, again, the fact that he was able to, again, from my knowledge, get over that and be just, again, be a better spot after that is just, again, a testament to him as a person. Bro, shout out to you, Stetson. But the past years in preseason, he's been lighting it up. Not in September, but in August, which is good. Maybe he'll get some playing time this year, though. I think he's definitely more than capable of being the backup, though, which is cool. He runs his offense really well. Again, he's not a very physically talented quarterback. We saw that at Georgia, 4 years ago? But he's been in the system for 3 years, or 2 years, technically. I hope he, again, wins that backup spot. Again, Ty Simpson, if he wins it, good job. I think that's a very healthy competition back there. Obviously, Stafford reigning MVP. There's not really much to say here. He's the best quarterback in football last year. Again, there's really just not even that much debate here. Stafford, is he the best quarterback in football right now? Well, you have to. Time will tell. Tier week in terms of my rankings here, but Stafford's obviously an absolute dog. He went to Georgia. I don't really need to say much here. He's my quarterback. He's been my quarterback for a while now. I know what's up with him. Again, we look at the actual grade here as we're now like 7 minutes into this. The only thing I could say about Stafford, though, again, would put him under an A+ is the fact that he gets injured. Or he could get injured because he's like freaking 100. What is he, 39? Or 38. That's like the only thing I guess you could say. Like, yeah, like, bro, Super Bowl Sunday this year's on Valentine's Day. He'll be 39 if he starts the Super Bowl. So, but it really doesn't matter. It's 60 points anyway. Yeah, again, A++ if I guess the age wasn't a factor, but it obviously is. But he's still one of the best quarterbacks in football. There's really nothing much else to say here. He's just that good. All right, guys, now we're moving to the skill position group here for the Rams, and this is an absolute, just loaded core. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, yes, you could avoid the topic of the receiving depth, which I guess we'll get into in a little bit, but this is still, one of the best skill position groups in football. Don't get it confused. Kyren Williams has been their starter since 2023, and I don't think he's quite gotten back to those numbers in 2023 where he was just so explosive and just absolutely, tearing it up. He would have led the league in rushing that year if he didn't get injured. 2024, a little bit of step back in terms of the explosiveness, and he honestly wasn't as good. He fumbled, 5 times? No, I'm joking. A lot of people are hating on him because of that, but in terms of, his, I wouldn't say his explosiveness, but his reads out of the backfield and his overall effectiveness, he was right there as 2023. This year, I think it was a little bit more of a balanced year overall. Well, again, the explosiveness in terms of these big plays still hasn't really come there. The broken tackle rate per attempt was definitely there, and I think in a much less used season where he kind of had a little bit more of an adaptive role in an offense that obviously was the best in football, he was much more efficient. I think is probably the best way to put it, which is a good thing. I don't think Kyron's a guy you want to completely rely your offense on, but he's still a guy that can carry the load. Again, 3 straight 10-touchdown seasons. I expect him to feast this year, too. And again, as a receiver, doesn't have the greatest hands, but he can still make catch. He's very capable there. And as a pass blocker, he's very underrated. I don't know why we're on TikTok. But anyways, you get Blake Corum right here. Blake Corum, last year, I mean, again, everyone's talking about how he should be the starter, at least some people were. I will say he's probably more explosive than Kyron overall. Biggest problem with Blake Corum is that he is not a consistent guy in terms of his vision. It was something that was a little bit of an issue with him in Michigan. In the NFL, it's kind of should come up a little bit more. But with him behind this offensive line, with him being a guy that is very aggressive, I don't think it'll be that much of an issue. But if we got into a situation where this offensive line was injured, which I'm guaranteeing will happen at least at some point this season, he is a guy that I don't think will be as successful, especially in terms of shotgun running. Still, though, Blake Corum's an absolute, he's one of the best backup running backs in football. It's just, the ceiling there. And while as a receiver, he's just not really usable because he legitimately is a horrible blocker, at least as of right now. I think, from what I've heard at camp and from the little tape that I've gotten, he has done a better job and he's improving, but it's still not something that I've, again, seen as a proven commodity. If he gets in preseason, which he definitely won't, we'll watch that he's not playing in preseason. Don't get me kidding, guys. That's why we'll talk about some preseason storylines with the Rams, but again, there's really not many guys in here that are going to get some playing time, at least the significant guys. But yeah, Blake's an absolute dog there. Third string Ryan Rivers, he's been on this team a while. He's not really that great of a runner. I mean, there's some times where he's somewhat efficient. He's definitely a conservative back. He'll definitely take his yardage for sure, but he's not going to be much of an explosive threat. And as a pass catcher, he's very, very reliable in terms of pass blocking, which is why I think he might have an upper hand on third down. I'm joking. But still, you look at a guy like Ronnie Rivers as a very, very reliable special teamer and a guy that you want to keep on your roster. Is he, again, is he really that effective of a runner? Not really, but he is a reliable player. Then you have Jarquez Hunter, who the Rams took in the fourth round last year, who's yet to get a snap on this offense. As a runner, from what I remember in preseason last year, he wasn't really that great. I need to see him be a little bit more effective between the tackles before, or really just more comfortable before I can actually get a clear vision on him. But Jarquez, if you looked at him back at Auburn, he was definitely more a downhill guy that could really, again, explode through pin and pull concepts. So we'll see how that works out in this offense this year if he actually gets any carries. Again, it's so hard on a team like this to actually get any playing time. But obviously for Kyren Williams, I'm going to give them an A. Again, you could argue it's an A-, but Kyren Williams, the thing is, he's a borderline top 10 guy, and Blake Corum being that good of a backup, even the depth after that, again, I got to give them an A. You could put an A-, go ahead. That's probably more realistic, but again, you get a legitimate top 10 running back, and then you got a guy like Blake Corum behind him. It's kind of hard not to give them that. I'm just going to be completely honest. Again, and Kyren Williams, again, other than that, the ankle issue he had back in 2023, he's legitimately played every game. All right, now we move to receiver. I mean, there's really no other way to avoid this. The Rams have, if not the best, the second best receiving duo in football right now. Puka Nacua, in my opinion, pound for pound, is the best receiver in football. Obviously, there's a suspension rumor, which I don't think is going to happen, but you never really know. And obviously, he's a little bit wonky in the head sometimes, but he went to rehab. Hopefully, got himself right. Again, with the behavior stuff. But again, in terms of just an overall guy in this system, there's not a better receiver to have. Well, he's not the fastest guy in the field really ever. He has one of the more powerful releases in football. His route nuance is top-notch in the league. It's just because he can just read zones so well. Obviously, the biggest part of his game is his yak yardage. That's the biggest part of this Rams offense. That's what, again, keeps his engine running. The fact that he's an elite yak receiver is why he is this good. But it's Puka, guys. We know what's up with Puka. He's an absolute superstar. He's the best receiver in football. All right, Davante Adams is their wide receiver too, and I still think he does have the potential to still be a number one receiver just because of the fact that it's so hard to find X's that are this good. Last year, again, least amount of receiving yards since 2015, which is a really disappointing year from him. And honestly, 2017, he wasn't great either. But still, it doesn't really matter. He caught 14 touchdowns last year, which tied a career. No, it wasn't. He did 18 touchdowns this ridiculous 2020 season. But still, led the league in touchdowns. He was an absolute cheat code in the red zone. I hope Davante does have a little bit more of a healthy season. He only played 14 games last year, which I guess isn't even that crazy. But I want to see him get over 1,000 yards this year because I really think he deserves it. And basically, I'm not going to lie, his route tree was definitely limited last year. A lot of the in-breakers are kind of just off of dagger concepts, which again was because the Rams just ran the ball down the other team's throat. Him and Stafford really didn't get as good chemistry on back shoulder throws really throughout the season. So if that can continue to grow in outside of the red zone, that would be huge. But obviously, he's still a deep threat in some ways as well. Again, the long range speed, I would say, quite is there. But again, if he can continue to stack on receivers the way he has been able to, Davante's gonna have another insane season. Again, the injuries with him now being 33 is definitely something to be talked about. But for the Christmas Eve baby, hopefully he can stay healthy. Then you have Jordan Whittington, who will probably be their slot receiver at times. He's a guy that, honestly, I don't think has gotten a fair shot so far in this offense, really through his first 2 years. You look at his career so far, he had two massive games versus the Bears and Packers when Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp were out, those two games. He was legitimately getting open on every single route. Outside of that, they legitimately haven't used him, other than, I guess, in backup roles. Like last year, they just didn't use him. I will say, again, to his, I guess, improvement, he really didn't do anything when he got on the field. Like, I remember watching his tape last year. It wasn't really wowing me. Yeah, top of his routes was creating a decent bit of separation, yes, but there really weren't any routes where I'm like, holy shit, get this guy in the field more. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Especially with the Rams probably running 18 personnel this year with 8 tight ends. Don't expect Jordan Whittington to get on the field as much, but still, he is definitely their third best option right now, just in terms of overall actual receiving talent. Then you have Xavier Smith, who was kind of a deep threat for them last year. I really like him off of motion on play action. He's obviously the returner as well. Very good gadget player like that. I still want to see him be able to be a little bit more consistent in terms of reading some of those deep balls, because that's why he's on the field. Well, he can be a yak threat as well. There's really not much else to his game as a receiver. Then you have Konata Mumpfield, who I think had honestly a pretty solid rookie season, all things said. Obviously, there were some games where he just was invisible, similar to Jordan Whittington. But if you look at that game in Seattle on that Thursday night, he actually stepped up big time with the injury to Devontae Adams. Still, though, for me, Konata Mumpfield is a guy that still has a lot of work to do in terms of his intermediate route running. There's a lot of plays where he just isn't confident going over the middle. I think his catch rate can definitely use some improving. CJ Daniels, he's the 6th round pick. This is kind of like a flyer pick for me. He's not very fast, and honestly, last year in Miami, he didn't blow me away totally. Still, I like this pick because he's a guy that has really strong hands and is very, very hard to close the ball on. But he still hasn't really completely been able to separate against any corner since he was at Liberty, and that was against some pretty bad players. So CJ Daniels kind of concerns me in that regard, but still he'll make this roster without a doubt. Tyler Scott, Mario Williams, and Brennan Presley, I'll be watching a lot of them on Saturday against the Chiefs. They will definitely be getting a lot of snaps. In my opinion, again, obviously the Rams' top 3 guys, I don't even know if Xavier Smith or Konata Mumpfield will play. Mumpfield probably will, but I'd be shocked if Xavier Smith get out there a lot, maybe on a return or two. But again, these top 3 guys aren't playing. Receiving core for me is an A+. Again, the only thing you can say is receiver depth, but even then, like, you're just an absolute shud, because I mean they have like literally one of the best duos in football. All right, now I'm with tight end. Again, everyone knows what this Rams offense and the 13 personnel that they kind of revolutionized last year. Davis Allen is not on this list, but they're legitimately going to roster 5 tight ends. Davis Allen might be the most well-rounded out of all 5 of these guys, to be honest with you all. He's a very, very solid blocker, and he is an explosive guy on corner routes, and especially when he's able to work downhill off of blocks, and then the next play off of play action. Davis Allen's a really good player in that way, and like legitimately, if any of those guys that had to play for extended times, I would not be concerned at all, except Max Clear, because he low-key doesn't know this offense yet. Colby Parkinson's definitely going to be their starter. He caught 8 touchdowns last year, which is kind of ridiculous, similar to like Robert Tonyan when he was on the Packers that year that Rodgers won MP. I think it was his first of the back-to-backs. But yeah, Parkinson, after a really disappointing 2024, was really good last year. Obviously, some of the receiving stats are a little bit neutered because of the again, with Devontae and Puka. But still, Colby Parkinson, I think, is a starting caliber tight end. At the very least, he's going to be a good player for you. Then Tyler Higbee, who's so washed. He's definitely not the same guy he used to be, but last year, in only 10 games, he was pretty damn good. He's still a yak threat at times, and I still think that he can be a threat over the middle of the field when you get him off play action. Then you have Terrence Ferguson, who's without a doubt the most dynamic tight end they have in this offense. He's legit speed for a tight end here. Still needs to work on his blocking. I don't think he has any displacement yet, but he's still at least technique-wise getting better. He's very versatile as a receiver, and like I said, without a doubt, this is their most talented tight end here. It's just getting him in the right spot and not putting him in a spot where he's getting exposed as a blocker. Again, I want to do justice to Davis Allen, but here's Max Clear. He's the rookie guy out of here. Probably their second most explosive guy. Definitely a yak threat here. Biggest problem with him is that his blocking is not effective yet. And the reason I say that is because the run blocker at, last year for Trey Van Henderson, while on pitches he definitely was able to create at least some sort of edge, the problem was he wasn't exactly pinning down. That's got to be a big kind of transition for him as a blocker if he wants to be successful. On top of that, as a receiver, I need to see him be able to run a little more complex routes and kind of read out zones better, because that was something he just simply did not have to do at Ohio State last year. All right, tight end position for me is going to be a B. You have 8 different options. It's by far the deepest in football. There's really nothing else to say there. Is there any like true transcendent guy? Probably not. I'm giving it a B+. Screw it. The Rams are going to use those guys the right way. It's Sean McVay. Let's look at the O-line. All right, guys, now we're looking at this Rams offensive line, and again, similarly to this rest of this offense, it's a very, very well thought of group. And honestly, I mean, I guess outside of Warren McClendon, all these guys have played together for multiple years. Alric Jackson, I mean, other than I guess the I don't even know what's going on with him. He has some sort of like blood clot issue that's kind of been hung up for a while. And he drove a little fast. I don't even know what's going on with him. He's not a very good person from what I've heard, but hey, he's a very, very good left tackle. For UDFA guys, this guy's an absolute dog. Biggest part of his game that he's really good at is so hard to beat him to the edge because of the fact that he anticipates off the line so well, and you're never going to land your first punch on him. I like legitimately, other than I guess Myles Garrett 2 years ago versus the Browns, I have not seen a single guy land a first punch on Alric Jackson. Simply put. that is why he's that good. As a run blocker, I don't really care. David Questenberry's their backup. He's a vet. He's been around for a while. We'll watch him in preseason. Maybe not even then. A.J. Curry's playing in preseason. He's a versatile dude. He's a good run blocker. Pass blocking, he's there. Steve Avila. He's not their best guard, but that's not really saying much. He's a raw power sort of guy in a lot of ways, and I think that his overall finesse as a guy who's going to block laterally in terms of against some, I want to say some of these twitchier dudes because I keep repeating that. But who's a good example? Braden Fisk is a good example. When him and Steve Avila are going out of practice, he's definitely adjusting his routes in terms of the lateral, dilations, because those sort of things are definitely helping him again continue to get better against these quicker guys on the interior. But still, Steve Avila is really good. Bo Limmer, he played a little bit in 2024. Didn't really play at all last year. Bo Limmer, I think again for a sixth-round pick, is continuing to get better. He's a talented guy in a lot of ways. It's just the problem of him not really having any sort of trait that's really sticking out right now. That's again having to put him in the field. Then you have Coleman Shelton at center. He's so good. He had an awesome season last year. Really, the only complaint I have about him is that he doesn't always snap the ball with the great pace, but that really doesn't matter because, it does. But he's a really solid, well-rounded blocker, so there's really nothing else to say there. Then you have Dylan McMahon, who they took out of NC State in the sixth round a couple years ago. The Eagles did. What the hell? This guy's athletic. That's what I've heard. Hopefully his technique's better because, that was rough to watch. Some of those ACC games. They have Kevin Dotson, who's the best offensive lineman on this team. He is an elite run blocker. For a Rams team that is always going to be a zone blocking run game, he legitimately is a double team as a single guy. He clears that sort of hole, and as a pass blocker, while he's not quite as good, he still gives you elite agility and a really consistent anchoring system, which I think is huge for a guy like Lauren McClendon Jr. next to him. Then you have Justin Gedich, who has definitely not played well when he's played. I don't even know what the heck happened. He shot off his hand, something like that. Justin Gedich is not a bad player, though, for a backup. And I guess Blake Hance, we'll see what happens there. I'm not comfortable with him, but he's going to get to play in preseason. Keegan Trost, they took him in the third round last year. This guy's very physical, very, very hard to beat against in terms of him being an anchor. Laterally, still needs some work as a run defender. Definitely some potential, but Keegan Trost, I think was a little bit high pick, in my opinion, by the Rams, but he'll definitely be a solid player in the future. They have Warren McClendon. Warren McClendon had an absolutely amazing season last year in the relief of Rob Havenstein. That's why he won the job, and Rob Havenstein retired. Hopefully, you have a good time in Rob. And but yeah, Warren McClendon, honestly, last year there's nothing like too much that standed out, which is a good thing. But he did a really, really good job at setting the edge just throughout the season. So yeah, offensive line for me, that's going to be a B, an A-. There's really not one guy there that isn't above average. The only guy that I think has some issues is Coleman Shelton, but even then, it's like, who cares? The depth is really solid. And yeah, it's one of the best offensive lines in football. Is it like the best? No, but like you have an elite guy here. You have a borderline elite guy there. You have a really good player here. Really solid season last year, then a really good player here. So you could argue it's an A, but I'm not going to do that. That's going to be, 20 points? Yeah. If we added that up, what is that? 60, 33, 36, 18, and 20. That's going to be 167 points. Holy shit. That's going to put them in the A-plus tier. That's near the max, guys. I mean, oh my God. Are you surprised, though? Like, it's the Rams. All right, now let's see how good this defense is. Might even be better. All right, guys, moving to this Rams defense. Again, we'll talk about the front seven first, which is a 4-3, or 3-4, my bad. What the heck? I don't even know my own team's defense. But, again, elephant in the room first before we actually get into these linebackers. Again, is Aaron Donald coming back? I mean, hopefully. I don't know why he'd be acting any different. It really doesn't matter, though. This Rams defense is they're ridiculous either ways. But I will, I guess, kind of a gamble. Counting your kitchen, or your, what is it? Your eggs before they hatch with Aaron Donald. But again, even then, it really doesn't make a difference. It's still an A defensive line. All right. It's ridiculous to say. But anyways, we move into linebacker to start out with here for this front seven. Nate Landman was legitimately a top 15 linebacker last year. The reason I don't say higher is because still in coverage, he was a little bit at times not awesome. But he had a career season last year after, again, a couple promising years in Atlanta. But there's a reason they let him go. He was just a big-time playmaker. He was awesome as a blitzer. And just consistently the energy he brought and a very grounded approach was a huge reason for his success last year. Nate Landman had an awesome year. Across from him is Omar Speights, who is a run defending centric Linebacker, he is one of the better guys at taking on blocks in the entire NFL at this position. Also never gets washed out and does a really, really good job at keeping his gap. Still, though, I think in coverage, he's definitely a liability overall. Against man, you really don't want to put him against a fast tight end or even anyone of that matter, but he's really good in a curl flat situation because he is a hard guy to make miss. And even then, his agility and range is still good enough for him to, again, be effective in those situations. So, while you don't want him in the open field, like covering guys, he still is effective in those situations, which I think is a big discrepancy from what other people think of him. Omar Speights is a really good run defender who is capable of making the plays in the open field despite maybe not being a capable guy in coverage. Grant Stewart's also here. This is a dude at who I guess I remember him with the Colts. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch much of his tape last year. The Lions. All I remember is he had like one player got burned on, so that's what I remember. But with the Colts, he barely got targeted because he low-key was always on his guys. Very disciplined player. I like this guy. The Rams are gonna really like. He'll definitely get on the field at least a little bit. It's just in what sort of role is gonna be the question. Sean Dolak. This is probably the Rams' favorite linebacker on this entire team. He was an absolute dog last year at Buffalo. Did he play a lot? Not really. Was it garbage time? Definitely. But for a guy that I think will definitely get on the field a little bit more this year, I'm really expecting him to be more aggressive and maybe even blitz a little bit more because he definitely has the capabilities for that. Then Elias Neal, Monty Rice going to be fighting for, I don't know, probably practice squad spots. But Stewart and Dolak, I don't even know if we're going to see that much Dolak in preseason, but those two guys are probably going to start. For me, this is going to be a B-plus linebacker core. Again, Nate Landman was really good last year. Omar Speights is a very solid player. Again, I think this is an underrated group overall, and the depth is also promising. For anyone who's like, oh, bad cover guys. I mean, I guess, is Nate Landman the best cover linebacker in football? Not really, but look at the secondary guys. Quinton Lake's going to be doing all that work. That's what you forget. Schematically in this Rams defense, they don't need these guys to be great in coverage. Even then, Nate Landman was overall solid, which I got to keep in mind. He is really instinctive there. All right, B+ for the D linebackers. Now let's move to this D line. I don't really need to say much here. Even if they didn't have Aaron Donald, it's still like an A+ D line. Kobe Turner is legitimately one of the better pass rushing defensive tackles in football. He gets double teamed a lot, and even as a 3-tech, he is so effective. He's had 7+ sacks his entire career. Last year, he had the highest pressure rate of his entire career. He was winning so consistently, even getting targeted more and more. A lot of guys have been more anchored against him, which I think has kind of decreased his overall effectiveness with his number one move being speed to power. But he's become much more effective with that swim move. Keeping that in mind, though, Kobe Turner is one of the better defensive, well-rounded defensive linemen in football. Again, he has been so underrated for so long. Yeah, is he already 27? Maybe. But Kobe Turner, amazing pick by the Rams. He's been an absolute dog for them. Then you have Larry Murchison behind him, who's been kind of off and on this roster for a while now. He really hasn't gotten a ton of playing time since that 2022 season with the Rams. I guess he put a little bit in 2023. He's okay. There's not really much else to say here. He's going to be a solid run defender for you who gets you some pass rush wins here and there. Poona Forster, nose tackle. Similar to Kobe Turner. He's very, very underrated. Has he ever been a star nose tackle pass rusher, which is such a weird thing to say? No, but he's always been one of the more effective guys, for sure. He has a legit bull rush. It really never stalls out completely, and he's at least going to move the pocket, and even then, he is laterally dominant at times. I don't even know what label his cross jab as, but it works, so I don't really care. And he's obviously a really, really good run defender. The Rams needed this guy, and when he was off the field last year, you could see it. Poona Ford is a very good player. Then they have two, I guess, up-and-coming nose tackles in Ty Hamilton and Tim Keenan, who are both capable run defenders. I will say, I think Ty Hamilton's at least a little bit better as a pass rusher, but it really isn't much. Again, him and Tim Keenan, neither of these guys are really going to be much like that in the league. At Alabama last year was legitimately out there just to swallow up holes, which honestly, on a Rams team that at times in the past, I'm not going to say have had trouble stopping the run, but have not had these like true just big man-eaters in the middle. Those guys are really good to have on your roster. Again, well-rounded multiplicity. Then you have Braden Fisk, who, while numbers-wise wasn't as good last year, he looked way better on tape. Way more comfortable in his overall pass rush skill set, and especially just beating guys laterally more. It happens so much more consistently. Such a good season on tape from Braden Fisk, even though maybe the pass rush numbers weren't quite there. And obviously, as a run defender, he's not going to be the best player in the field, but at least last year was somewhat respectable metrically. On tape, but who really cares? You have Tyler Davis here, who actually on the field a lot last year. This is probably one of the Rams' unsung heroes. He was really good against the run, guys. Any sort of third down goal line situation, you get this guy on the field, he's just going to completely blow up the play. As a pass rusher, really not much of an arsenal, but he still has a decent enough power move that I guess kind of works. Again, it's a forklift. He kind of uses it the way he wants to. Respectable enough pressure rate to get on the field a lot, but him and Braden Fisk are definitely going to be in an interesting role together because obviously Braden Fisk is going to be on the field a lot more. It's just the fact of how they split these snaps because I like the rotation they have here. So really good depth in this Rams D line. I'm going to give this group an A+. You might say, what the heck? Again, we're assuming Aaron Donald's here, who's in a rotational role too, but I mean, like, let's be honest, guys. This Rams D line is elite. What is that, 24 points there. Now it moves to the pass rush as a whole, and I don't really need to say anything here. This is an absolutely ridiculous group. Obviously, they traded Jared Verse for Myles Garrett. Interesting trade in the sense of the world, but they got the best defensive player probably in the past, since Aaron Donald retired. I don't really need to say anything here, guys. Myles Garrett's like legitimately, he's that good. There's nothing else for me to say. It's Myles Garrett. Byron Young, he is a legit number 2 guy off the edge. Obviously, 12 sacks last year. Was he completely there? I think at least somewhat. The pressure rate at least somewhat supports that. On tape, he really has a great second step that sets up all his moves. He has 4 at this point in his career. Obviously, coming into the league, he really only had a speed rush. But he's a guy that has really won a lot more with inside counters off of that first swim move. And then he also has a club move. He uses the anchor down and be able to beat guys actually through the edge, and that sort of kind of variation in his rush makes it very, very hard for guys to anticipate. Byron Young will have another big season this year. I mean, there's really no way for him not to. Watch out there. Then you have Josiah Stewart, who's a pure power rusher in all the sense of the world, but he's a really good run defender, and he legitimately is starting to develop a spin counter. Watch out for that. Josiah Stewart's a really good third option. Then you have Desmond Johnson, who I don't even know how Mr. Irrelevant, guys. He's doing his thing. He's really athletic, which I don't really understand why he wasn't drafted higher because of that. Obviously, still really raw skill set. Again, it's his 3rd year with the Rams as a true third down option, but look out for him. He's gonna be a guy that's gonna make affect the field too. After that, it's kind of a mess, but I don't really care. It's obviously an A+. You could already see an A++ with Aaron Donald. Screw it, I'm gonna say that. Especially again, you've heard it a million times from the media. Oh, the Rams are gonna be up by 30. They're gonna put them in, but legitimately, guys, there's really, this is the best pass rush you've seen in a long time. There's no other way for me to put it. I'm giving them 56 points. I don't care. All right, let's look at the secondary now. All right, I'll say I got a little bit carried away with that pass rush. It's 52 points, though. All right, secondary of the Rams, obviously last year in the playoffs got absolutely diced up by Sam Darnold, truly. But still, I think that the secondary wasn't bad last year. Let's be honest, there were no true dogs in that secondary, really at all. So they brought some dogs in here. Obviously, the biggest acquisition was Trent McDuffie. He's a legit number 1 corner, top 5 cornerback in football. While he's not an elite, true boundary man corner, which again, it's just what the tape says. I'm sorry. Trent McDuffie is still one of the best cornerbacks in football, one of the lowest separation rates of the past 5 years, and he reads the ball better than anyone in the league right now. Trent McDuffie is, again, he's the top 5 corner in football. Then you have Jalen Watson on the other side, who will be covering definitely the more bigger and lengthier and speedier guys there. He's a true man press corner. While in zone, he's not really that much more useful. Just stick him in man and don't worry about it. Jalen Watson, really good yin to the yang of Trent McDuffie, I guess. But anyway, again, coming over from the Chiefs there. They signed Watson. All right, Quentin Lakester, nickelback. He was elite last year when he was on the field. People are going to nag on him because he did get beat a couple times over the middle of the field, but this guy makes too many plays for this defense to really care. There was a significant drop-off in the overall effectiveness of this defense, which sounds so stupid, but it's just the best way I could put it. When he wasn't on the field last year. It's just the truth. There's just not many guys that can go out there and again, cover things up like that, especially in zone. He blankets so many guys. And you look at a guy like Omar Speights and Nate Landman, they need a guy like Quentin Lake in there to kind of, again, feed off of there. Then you also have Emmanuel Forbes. This is probably the Rams' most talented cornerback outside of Trent McDuffie. No, I'm joking. He's really good, though. Forbes, he still can't tackle. But if we're just talking about overall man coverage and the length, I mean, it's there. If this guy could just be, again, continue to get better in terms of tackling, look out. He's still inconsistent, though, I think, to be a reliable starter, but he's so talented. And again, after coming from the Commanders, he's gotten better and better. Cam Lampkin, he's an absolute dog. Don't get in this dude's way. Still, though, you can get beat with double moves here and there. Then you also have Josh Wallace, who we'll see what happens with him. He was honestly pretty effective last year in the nickel. He definitely put in a lot of tough situations, though. He got targeted a lot, and there are at least plays where I think he wasn't up to the task. But still, Josh had a solid season last year overall. But again, you obviously have 5 legitimate corners. I don't even need to say anything here. It's obviously an A+. I don't even know what to tell you guys. What did you expect? That's what? 24 points? All right. Safety now. I wouldn't say quite as good. Cam Kitchens is just an absolute, again, you watch him in Miami, you're like, this guy makes plays. You watch him in the NFL, you're like, this guy makes plays. Yeah, does he get beat here and there? Is he a true boundary corner safety? Not really. But this guy's all over the field, and he's doing his thing. Then you also have Cam Curl, who's, again, he can't cover for shit. He's never been able to do his entire career, but he's one of the better run defenders downhill in the football. And he also, again, like I said, in terms of anticipation in zone, he's right there, up there, right there. And man, don't even think about it. But yeah, Cam Curl, he makes so many plays for this defense. Tanner Engel, we'll see what happens there. And obviously, Jalen McCullough has been really solid in the past. Obviously, he had a 4-pick 2024 last year and more playing time. Definitely had a little bit less of an effective season. He definitely, I think, had a little bit of a wall here towards the end of the year, but still, he's a solid player as well. Really good depth. Again, the problem with me with Engel is he's just not a guy that hasn't really gotten the experience yet. And for a guy who's already 26, it's like, what are we really going to see with him here? For me, though, I'll give the safety room a B+. You could even push it in the A tier if you really wanted to, but I don't think Cam Kitchens is quite there. So we'll say 27 points. If we add that all up, again, it's still a ridiculous score. 27, 24, 52, 24, and 27. That's going to be 154. Oh, my God. 154 points for this defense. That's going to put the Rams in A+. Screw it. They're that good. All right. Let's get into some other stuff. Okay, guys, Rams special teams unit. I guess this is really one part of the roster where I think you can at least harp some bad things on. Harrison Mevis, though, last year, other than I guess some kicks here and there, was legitimately money. In 9 games after they booted Josh Carty and then fired the special teams coach, he was really good. I think the biggest problem with him is I think they were a little bit too conservative with him at times, which, again, you can't really be, shaming them for, considering again what they had before that. But yeah, Harrison Mevis was money for them last year. Again, he was basically lights out. Ethan Adams has been their punter a couple years here. He's got a really strong leg and overall is accurate. The problem with him is he just doesn't get on the field a ton. Like last year, only 50 punts. Like, come on. But yeah, Ethan Adams is a solid punter. Then you also have Xavier Smith, who's a really solid punt returner. Obviously, they started in 2024 when he basically won the games for won that game versus the Niners. Whittington, I don't know. He's just kind of there as a kick returner. Cardona. I think this is a new long snapper, if I'm not mistaken, for the Rams, right? Yeah, new long snapper. Cool. Hopefully he's better than the last one. And I'm not gonna lie, that kind of tells you I'm casual. I don't know who the Rams long snapper is. But yeah, for me, this special teams unit, I'll give a C. They were bad last year. Again, everyone knows that they had major issues. They're better this year for sure, but again, I still need to see it to believe it. Like, again, the special teams is something you just really can't worry about, or unless you're the Cowboys and you're like, oh, how far is he gonna hit it this year? But I'm gonna say a C here. Like I think that's a fair evaluation there. All right, depth, quarterback depth, I'd give a B. Are either these guys experienced? Absolutely not. But is there talent there, and am I happy to watch these guys play? Absolutely. Running back depth, I'd give a B+. Blake Corum's literally a starting caliber player. Receiver depth, I think I give that a C+. That might be just me being biased, but I think it is fair to say. Maybe yeah, C. We'll say a C+. Still, I think the depth of this team is at a B at the moment. Tight end depth is the best in history, so I'll probably say, I don't know, we're probably up to an A- now, just because we'll say a B+. O-line depth, I don't really care about, so we're going to still say we're at a B+. D-line, B+. Pass rush overall, probably a B+. Linebacker, a B. Still probably get a B+ for the team depth, and the secondary is fine. We'll say a B+ for the Rams depth. There again, you really just look at receiver as the one, I guess, somewhat concerned, but I mean, just look at tight end, and you're like, yeah, we're fine. B+. Just put Terrence Ferguson at tight end if you need to. 36 points, though. It's really hard to get in the A tier for depth. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I have a single team in the A tier. You could argue the Rams are. No, I'm joking. I'm not jinxing it. B+. All right, identity of this football team. Sean McVay's been this coach. Now, this will be his 10th season as the head coach. Legitimately, I don't think there's been a single time that I've been in doubt with this team other than when he might have retired after the 2022 season. That's legitimately the only time, though. He's the best coach in football. There's no doubt about that. Him and Kyle Shanahan for best offensive mind, all that. But you look at this Rams team coming to this year. Again, I don't really think there's anything to say. There's an unwavering belief that this team's the best team in football, and they're just going to continue to ride with that. So that's going to be 15. What is that? 55 points for the Rams' identity. Again, they know what's up. There's really nothing else to say here. They're going to be chilling. 5, 36, 55, 154, and what? 1. How many points do we have for these? 167. That is going to be 400. Holy shit. 417 points. That's going to be an A+ roster. That is by far the highest I've ever seen. Again, I'm not sorry. Again, this is legitimately the best roster I've ever seen. Again, we're keeping Aaron Donald in here too. Again, it's you never see over 400. Like, it's very, very rare. I think the highest, again, last year the highest was a 380 something maybe. Yeah, again, you'd be hard pressed to find a better roster than this, like, any year. So the fact that this, again, is happening in 2026, again, whatever happens this year is pretty insane. But, yeah, Rams, I'm not surprised you guys cracked 400 and, like, blew through it. That's all I have here. And, yeah, it's kind of awkward that we're going to this next team. But, I mean, yeah.
Takes a shot. There's Corey Davis wide open. Davis still going, and he's in for the touchdown.